Hello, my name is Ty Toops. I did my facility audit on Alex Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field, and I've been a season ticket holder and a lifelong LSU baseball fan. Um, Went to my first game in 1989 at the old box, and been enjoying the new box now with my family and my children. So let's see here. The early years, um, they really didn't have a field at first. They just played in a big field basically. In 1893 to 1924, they played at the old campus, which was downtown. They had to share the field with the football team and the basketball team also. Now, in between that and them actually moving over to their first diamond, um, it was unknown that exactly where they played from 1925 to 1928. Maybe it maybe it was probably just not recorded. Maybe they played in multiple areas, but that's unknown. But we do know that they had a win-loss record of 30 wins and 32 losses under two different coaches, Harry Rabenhorst and Mike Donahue. Um, and then they finally moved over to the first diamond in 1929. They played there through 1936. Um, which was on the Campanile Parade Grounds. Now, the first diamond was the actual first place that they had bleachers, which was the wooden bleachers at that time. And then after that, they went ahead, um, moved over to um, the second diamond, which was also preparing them to get ready and decide to build a stadium and try to get the funding for that. So once they did that, um, they still kind of called it, LSU Diamond, or it was also known as the LSU Varsity Baseball Field um, around 1938 through 42. Um, but in 1943, it got its official name, Alex Box Stadium. Um, It was named after Simeon Alex Box, who was killed in action in North Africa in World War II. Um, he was a varsity letterman. Um, this field, from the very beginning, did some really good things. For instance, it got to host the New York Giants spring training, 1938 to 1939. Um, the old Alex Box Stadium is basically across the street on the other side of the parking lot from where the new box is. It was on the corner of Nicholson Drive, what they now call Skip Bertman Drive. Originally, it only held about 2,500 people, um, but over the time, they did upgrades and so on and so forth. They held a little bit over 7,700. Um, when they first built it, it cost $50,000. Um, and I would say in today's world, only $50,000, but in the 30s, $50,000 could buy you a lot more than you could today. Now, the new Alex box brought a lot of the old with it, so it wanted to hold on to the tradition, and it wanted to hold on to that magic. Um, and that was one big thing that Skip Bertman wanted to do because he poured so much into it. When Skip first got there, um, it wasn't even close to where it was or where he wanted it, but he had a vision. Um, Talking to some of the past players, they said after practice, all they would have to do is, grab a paintbrush or, some tie wraps and go fix some netting. Because for Skip, it was all about paying attention to the details. Um, Skip Bertman was famous for saying, is the coffee hot? No, the bathroom's clean. Um, so his attention to detail over time carried over, and um, his dream um, initially came to fruition and probably surpassed it with the new Alex Box Stadium. But the dimensions of the old um, are the same as the new, or should I say the new is the same as the old. Down the foul lines is 330, power alleys is 365, center field 405, height of the fence is 10. Um, Now the center field fence height says 15 feet. Um, in today's game, um, we know that we add a batter's eye, so we make that center field fence higher. What that does is when a hitter is looking and staring back at the pitcher, um, having a solid dark background um, allows him to be able to pick the ball up out of the pitcher's hand easier, and they didn't have that in the older stadiums and fields. But playing surface is natural grass. Um, Actually, it's a very specific grass. It's called Celebration Bermuda, and there's only one place that it can be found, and that's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Um, and Not everybody can get their hands on it. Now, that's the same exact grass that is also in Tiger Stadium. Um, One unique aspect of Alex Box Stadium, um, as you can see here, well, here is the Intimidator. So once Skip Bertman came along in '84, and we really started winning and moving on, he put that up, um, to show everybody, our championships and so on and so forth, and that definitely carried on to the new box. Um, as you can see here, um, major events, uh, tournaments hosted. So as you can see, um, 1986 NCAA Regional SEC Tournament in '85. Well, what is that? That's right after Skip got there. So Skip really changed everything when he came. So as you can see, the '90s and the um, up into the year 2000 is what I call the golden age of LSU baseball, and that's when I was a kid, I got to see that, and it was great being able to experience those championships, and now this year I got to experience another national championship, but I got to do it with my kids this time. So NCAA regional tournaments, they're great. Now the format um, in the past is different than it is today. As you can see, the NCAA Super Regionals, um, we only started hosting those in 2000, 2003. And that's only because um, there were no Super Regionals at one time. But the NCAA reformatted and reset it to where, you know, there's another, you know, set of games after. So, 85, 86, 91, 93, we actually hosted the SEC tournament. Now, in today's world, the SEC tournament is always played in Hoover, Alabama. So, the ABCA Hall of Fame tournament was also played in 1991. Now, the ABCA is the American Baseball Coaches Association. So, they're like the top. So, to have that there, you know, um, was definitely a treat. Um, and you can see, like I said earlier, that the box, as it's called, hosted spring training, for the New York Giants in '38 and '39. Um, Quick little fun fact: talk about the box. There used to be this 1950s remake song um, of "At the box, 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 box," and for some reason I just remember that and it stuck with me. Um, some of the premium features and amenities. Um, at first, LSU, when they opened the new box, it wasn't quite where they wanted it yet. So they added a lot of things. They added, um, well, I can't even say added. It was kind of already there. It was already in the plans. They just had to make sure the funding came through. Um, the initial, 30 to $40 million to actually build the facility, and then acquire the rest of the funding to do some of this other stuff that they wanted to do. Now, trying to find the specific um, prices for this was difficult because there's a lot of TAF, Tiger Athletic Foundation, and private donors that funded some of these projects. So, um, the luxury suites, it's great. Um, Now, if you go to your seat, you can get things like sushi delivered to you, and that's some of the perks of being there. Um, you get access to the Champions Club, restaurant and bar. Um, Champions Club is also where Coach has his coaches show. Now, not everybody's allowed in there, but if you pay that premium, you can. But one thing everybody can do, they can enjoy the Wally Ponham Jr. Hall of Fame and Museum. There's tons of great things in there, from LSU rings and trophies and jerseys and bats that hit game-winning home runs and so on and so forth. It's definitely a treat. Jerry Lane sponsored the Championship Plaza, basically a memorial where you can go around, and each team from the championship years has a plaque there. And you can also see just recently they put the statue up of Skip, which is well deserved, right there in what they call Legacy Plaza now. Well, players got some nice things too. The locker rooms are great, state of the art, um, better than a lot of minor league teams and so on. And these players are comfortable. They have a players' lounge. They can go hang out. They can study, play games. There's foosball, table tennis, so on and so forth. When they're trying to recover and hang out. Now, there's also a premium training room that's attached to um, behind where the locker room is. I got to tour the facility one time back there. Um, Also, that's where the coaches' offices are located. Now, also attached to the actual facility in the grounds is the indoor hitting facility, air conditioned, weather doesn't bother them. They have, the TrackMan and all of these different technologies that record, all of these analytics for these guys to work on their mechanics. There's also baseball specific weight room, and there's also a really nice team meeting room. Now there are some other things um, that are really nice for the fans out there. There are two playgrounds. Spent a lot of time um, standing there watching the game over the fence while my kids were playing on the playground. So we sat in right field. So there was a playground right there in the right field corner. There was also one in the left field corner. Um, but sitting back there wasn't that big of a deal. We really loved it, sitting in the cheap seats and get to catch the home run balls and so on and so forth. Um, but when it was built, and still now, the box has the largest video board in college baseball. Um, they just recently added another video board in right field. Um, they're adding so many things, it's hard to keep up. Um, but tons of restrooms. Every time you turn around, there's a restroom right there for you. There's everything's handicap accessible. There's restrooms for um, families too, not just men and women. Um, Now they also have that on the concourse level, and they have it on the field level. Um, Now there's tons of concessions the same way. I want to say there's four different concessions, but then there's all of these little vendors all over the place where you can grab some jambalaya or, a special type of, ice cream or snow cone or something like that. There's also two fan shops where you can get your Tiger gear. There's one located right across from the Wally Pontiff Hall of Fame. Um, you've heard me say Wally Pontiff a couple times. That's a former Tiger player who passed away. Um, so there's the two fan shops. Um, and like I said, there's want to say they just added some more bathrooms, but I mean, there's at least 10 here and 10 there. I mean, it's all over. Um, Now, for those who can't get up to the concourse level, there are elevators, and those same elevators will lead you up to the suites. So, this ballpark, like I said, is top notch. It was the first of its kind. Now, some of the other schools are kind of following LSU's lead and really doing some great things and building some nice facilities. But LSU continues to innovate and lead the way. That's because the LSU fans turn out more than any other school in the nation. Now, there's only out of almost 3,000 um, collegiate level baseball schools in the country, there's only approximately 4 or 5 that actually make a profit. LSU's definitely one, and then there's some others like Vanderbilt and so on. Even though they bring in millions of dollars, they have to turn around and reinvest it, but also at the same time, they spend it. It's not cheap. Um, the recruiting and everything else that's needed. But LSU's very lucky, um, but they at the same time they've earned it. Um, and like I said, being a lifelong Tiger fan and watching it and getting to enjoy it, and knowing that I'll be able to enjoy it for years to come and my kids and so on and so forth. And um, it's good to be a Tiger. Thanks.